Hey, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Blake.
And we are Blamey.
Yeah. Today we're reacting to Wheel of Time up to this point. So up to this point, 7 episodes have been released. The finale of the season will be on this Friday. So we're filming this right before Christmas. And we just wanted to react to a little bit to it. So just giant spoiler warning here. We're going to probably talk about things in the book versus things that have happened so far. But overall, I'm just curious, what's your reaction? Have you liked it?
I am so satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the characters are particularly good. Um, I do still have some quibbles about the dragon and gender and some of the things in there. I think it takes away from some of it, and I worry it that in some ways it's going to make Egwene an afterthought, right? Because the reason she was kind of important was she could potentially be the dragon, right? But the reason she's important in the books is she's an incredibly powerful channeler, and they show Nynaeve being that way, and Nynaeve is more powerful than Egwene, but it's not like orders of magnitude, right? And so I think in some ways it's going to diminish her character, especially if the love interest things end up not working out there and going more the way of the books. Then I feel like she might just get like shoved aside in some ways. Because it's very clear Matt, Perrin, and Rand have different storylines, and you're interested in each of them. The other ones, I don't know.
Or maybe because people have been thinking it was Egwene the whole time, that they're invested in her. Maybe that.
I don't know. Like, has anybody actually thought she was it? I think she's the one that...
Everyone I've talked to that has not read the book, every single one,
really
thought it was
Egwene.
And
I feel like a lot of that was because they hadn't... Like, I feel like everybody else had a moment where they thought it was them, besides Rand, kind of. Rand has the, pushing the door moment, right, where he shoves it, and you knew something was weird there. So there was a little bit of that hint. I feel like Egwene hasn't had any, and maybe that was to try and lead people off the scent. I don't know. Is there one that you can think of that I'm not thinking of where...
yeah, she channels the most, doesn't she?
Yes, but I
think just the fact that she's
I don't know
the only one channeling.
Well, I mean, Nynaeve channeled the crap out of things.
I think Nynaeve was I don't know that people thought it could be Nynaeve because of the age.
Yep.
So I don't think that was...
It's an interesting thing. I mean, then there's Perrin and Matt's whole thing, right? Where
I think Matt is my biggest complaint.
Matt's definitely my biggest complaint. But why is he your biggest complaint?
Because he's a cool dude, and they're giving him such a negative light of like he's a loser and he's got nothing going for him and he has just no redeeming qualities. But he's pretty awesome in the books, and he plays a big role, obviously, and which I don't know how that's going to end up actually. Yep.
I mean, and giant spoilers here, right, from the books. We already started with the spoiler warning, so Sadie, if you're listening, just tune it out for a little while. But he's not at the Eye of the World.
That's a problem.
Or at least not yet. Which I have no idea how he could potentially get there, but he's not there yet. So he's not at the Eye of the World, which also means he can't get the horn, theoretically, because Pattern Fame steals the horn and the dagger when he leaves, right? And so the reason they're chasing him is because A, they have the horn, and B, he has the dagger. So Matt's just going with them because he's got the dagger and he needs the dagger to be safe. Well, dagger's already gone. That seems like it's been taken care of.
Yeah. They didn't really explain that, though.
No, they really didn't.
Took the magic out, separated them, and that was it.
Which is going to be really, really interesting, because that whole how the dagger works in Shigar Logoth, or how I would say it, is a really important thing later in the book series.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not there yet. So I don't know. Like it logistically, I don't know how that works out. It may be that they just skip over one big thing that happens in the series. So it really is a crazy thing. I don't know. It is interesting, and that is one of the more fascinating things about it. Is there's a few of these things that I feel like I don't know how you do some of the stuff later in the books in the way that they're working out, and so things may change fairly significantly going through it.
Yeah, super interesting. I've been really pleased with all the acting.
Yeah,
I'm pleasantly surprised with all the actors.
So giant spoilers again, but I don't know how you do a series without Moraine.
What?
Right?
What do you mean?
Well, because eventually Moraine's not there.
Yeah, you can't say that.
I just said giant spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
right? So eventually Moraine's not there. And she's such an anchor to the show right now. And maybe you need her to be the anchor in a lot of ways, like Ned Stark was the anchor of the first Game of Thrones season. And then it pivots. Like, and now maybe it'll pivot so Rand is kind of the anchor. Rand, Nynaeve, and Egwene probably tend to be your anchors. But I don't know. Like, I feel like she's being built up so much that, like, it's a traumatic thing when something happens. And I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. Interesting that her and the Emerald Seat are a thing.
Yeah.
That one was like, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, I can totally see why they made it that way, and because they've got a really close friendship and lots of history, so like it makes sense. But I was also like, what is happening?
So the interesting thing, and giant spoiler alert here, and you maybe should close your ears too, is I don't understand how that affects the later romances in the Wheel of Time, because both of those people have important romances later. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. All right.
I heard a little bit of that.
Oh no, what'd you hear?
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, now I want to know.
They both have romances later.
They do. Important romances later. That I guess, I mean, are still possible, but would be interesting.
Oh, you know what I didn't love? Was the whole, like, Lan and Nynaeve love story all of a sudden. I don't know. There could have been a little more romance there.
So one of the problems with the arc that they created is Nynaeve doesn't leave with them in the beginning, but catches up to them, right? But she catches up to them early. So they have a long time as they travel for those relationships to build and mesh. But in the way that they did it, and it's going to make sense, no one wants to watch a long travel log, all right, of people traveling the whole time. They wanted to get through this quicker. But, you know, in the book, they have this long time traveling, so it's a longer time to build this romance in a way, right? But truthfully, at the end of book one, the romance is pretty strongly there. So I think you just don't see it develop as quickly. I mean, in the book, you have more time to flesh it out.
No, I'm fine with, like, the timeline of it all. Just the execution when they, like, had their first kiss.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's not something I paid a ton of attention to. You know, another one that I'm interested in, though, is Lan. So Lan is like this famous king, right? But it doesn't seem like that. Like in the place that he went, like, yes, it was home, and yes, there's people that want to talk to him, and yes, you know, that people greeted him, but he's like a hero. So, like, in the books, when he goes to the Borderlands, like, there's people willing to drop everything and follow him. And it just didn't feel like he had that weight there. Like, this is the one place where he is like this rallying icon thing. And it
should have been bigger.
I didn't feel any of that there.
Granted, I haven't felt that way about anything with Lan. They've kind of just, like, brushed him aside a little bit.
And he's one of, I think, the better characters in Wheel of Time, and has this great payoff with this thing. So it's hard for me to see him kind of be pushed to the side here. And maybe they'll address it later. Yeah. I mean, when Lan, when you no longer have Moraine, Lan's a little more free, and you could invest more time into developing his thing more.
That makes sense.
But I do think maybe they just made the decision to say, sorry, Lan, your story's getting cut a little bit.
Yeah. And maybe it's just to be unassuming. You know, 2 seasons in, all of a sudden he's like the hot shot.
But, like, in some ways, the thing about Lan's story is it makes it show how amazing Moraine is and the Aes Sedai. If you have this, like, uncrowned king that all of these kingdoms would follow, and at any moment he could raise an army and go fight in the Blight, and people would follow him. Like, I mean, you know, as far as you are in the books, right, the Aiel know who he is, right? Like, across the waste, they know who that guy is.
That's cool.
Right? And so what it does is it just sets Moraine up to be this thing of, like, this person promised to serve her. So she must be pretty amazing if this guy that everyone knows is willing to do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was interesting. You know, another interesting thing that I liked is I liked Logain and his kind of appearance and everything about it. I liked it.
He's a good actor for that character.
Yes.
It's like he's got, like, just enough creepiness, but then maybe not, I don't know, some redeeming qualities possibly. I don't know.
So it will be interesting to see if we saw the last of Logain in this series, because as interesting and compelling as the story is, it could be a pretty easy one to cut out. You told the beginning of it. You saw what a Chandler could do. You got the whole false dragon type thing. You understood it all, and you could kind of cut out the rest of it.
Sad. I guess I can totally see that.
Yeah. Some things have to be cut somewhere. So overall, I think we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like the parent-wife thing. I'm over that. That's fine.
Yeah.
By the way, parents kind of, I don't know, do you think he'll have a bigger role coming up? I feel like he's just kind of been slowly forgotten about. Or am I making that up?
No, So this is one of the problems with Wheel of Time is Rand is such a giant light in the book, right? Because he's the dragon, that sometimes he overshadows everything else. And so even in the books, like Perrin goes and does amazing stuff, and he's a great character. But a lot of times I'm like, all right, get me through these Perrin chapters so I can get back, because the story's revolving around Rand. And you want that story to progress, because it's not just the individual character stories. You're following this world, and you want to see what's happening in the world, and the world progresses as Rand progresses. And so I think that's gonna be hard in a TV show.
That'll be interesting to see how they play it out.
And in a lot of ways, the way the books do it well is they separate them. They all go their own ways, different places, until they get their own time away from Rand to kind of shine.
Yeah.
And as Rand grows more powerful, and I mean, because they do a really good job of showing, Moraine telling Logain that, like, his stuff is a candle, and compared to the sun, that will be the dragon, right? And kind of power-wise, like, eventually Rand will be at that point where it's almost not fun to follow him because he's too powerful, right? And so those side stories are almost better because Rand's not going to be in danger. He can destroy a city, right? Like, it's a different thing. So I don't know. It'd be interesting.
It'll be interesting. I did like the Tam and the baby being born. I'm really glad that they brought that in. I was wondering if that would ever come up.
I was wondering. So we watched some of those clips that they did with the kind of, I think that you have to use the X-ray, Amazon X-ray, to see like the background clips. And one of them, they talk about the breaking a little bit. And I wonder if you get a flashback like that, kind of to start season 2, where you have the breaking and you can see Lewis Theron and how all that worked. And you've had the Forsaken mentioned once.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
Okay.
So Lan and one of the other warders there that later dies, right? Lan is doing something. The warder comes up to him and say, "Are you, burning candles to keep the Forsaken away?"
Okay.
Is the line they. So they've mentioned.
Okay.
But no one knows anything about them.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to explain who they are. So a flashback to that of Lewis Theron and the Forsaken, and that betrayal and how strong they are and all that would make a lot of sense to set them up as the bad guy moving forward.
Yeah, I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for the name Lewis Theron to show up at all. And through that it did, but the show, I wonder when or if that'll happen.
Yeah, be. Again, not to spoil too much for future books, but I would assume it has to if they're going to try and follow the book. So, great. Well, this is our reaction so far. We'll finish the finale here in a few days and give you a reaction of how we feel about it after the finale.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
It'd be awesome. Okay. Well, thanks. Like and subscribe, all those fun things, and we'll see you soon.